During the last decade, the concealed carry world got obsessed with tiny 9mm pistols. Companies trimmed weight and width to the limit, and I dutifully tried each new model. They fit anywhere but punished my hands, with stiff recoil, tiny sights, and heavy triggers. After a box of ammo, my palm felt bruised and follow-up shots were slow. Shooters started to question whether comfort in the holster was worth misery at the range. The lesson was clear: carry guns must balance concealment with shootability. That idea defines the newest generation of pistols. They still disappear under a t-shirt, yet they add barrel length, capacity, optics cuts, and better triggers. As 2026 approaches, I see 5 designs that embody this shift. Each is optimized for a different role: deep concealment, professional backup, premium 2011 crossover one gun, and factory compensated. Here's how they drive the new era. I've spent hours on the range to appreciate why these guns matter. Consider how Micro 9S evolved. Early models delivered fighting calibers in packages small enough for pockets or ankle holsters, but the trade-offs were obvious: short barrels bled velocity, stunted grips amplified recoil, and minimal sights and heavy triggers discouraged practice. Manufacturers responded by lengthening slides, reshaping grips, and improving texture. They cut slides for red dot optics, added forward serrations, and lightened triggers. The industry moved from small at all costs to concealable and shootable. When I evaluate a modern carry gun, I care less about overall length than about how it handles. Price and aftermarket parts influence my choices. My personal shootability index weighs recoil, muzzle flip, trigger quality, grip shape, texture, and sight radius. A micro pistol with 15 rounds is useless if it jumps in your hand and you can't control the trigger. With that context, the countdown that follows highlights guns that strike different balances: the Pocket .380 that finally shoots well, the duty level micro, the premium 2011, the true crossover, and the factory comped workhorse. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 shows how far deep concealment guns have come. Its .380 predecessor was reliable, but saddled with a stiff double-action trigger and tiny sights. The new model keeps the thin profile and polymer over aluminum frame, but converts to a striker-fired mechanism with a crisp pull comparable to a full-size M&P. Magazines hold 10 or 12 rounds, and performance center versions integrate a small ported barrel and slide for extra control. Ergonomics have been overhauled as well. The backstrap is undercut so you can grip higher relative to the bore. Revised texturing offers purchase without tearing skin. A bright front sight and generous rear notch mimic larger pistols, making it easier to pick up the sights. These changes tame the snappy recoil common to Micro .380S and the short trigger reset rewards. Deliberate presses rather than frantic slaps. While no pocket gun will feel like a full-size, the 2.0 makes controlled pairs at typical defensive distances far more manageable than before. Reliability is the most important metric. Early samples showed occasional light primer strikes with hard primers. Smith & Wesson addressed this with heavier striker springs. My own gun has run hundreds of rounds of hollow points and practice ammunition without a misfire. The Bodyguard 2.0 occupies a specific niche times when printing is not an option, and a Micro 9mm simply will not hide. It complements, rather than replaces, a primary carry piece. Its mid-$400 street price is reasonable for the capability. Those already carrying an M&P will appreciate the similar trigger feel and the ability to train on one system across sizes. It disappears under gym shorts. Heckler Koch's CC9 is a true duty-grade micro-pistol. Rather than chasing the smallest dimensions, HK built a gun for plainclothes officers and serious civilians who demand service reliability in a concealable package. The CC9 is a polymer-framed 9mm with 10 or 12-round magazines. Its 3.32-inch barrel uses polygonal rifling, and the chassis is rated for continuous use with +P ammunition. HK stands behind a high life expectancy and uses the same corrosion-resistant finish found on its military guns. The CC9 shines in the hand. A generous beaver tail lets you choke up high, lowering the bore axis. Interchangeable backstraps adjust trigger reach, and every control, slide stop, magazine release, and takedown lever is fully ambidextrous out of the box. A direct mount optic footprint accepts RMSC pattern microdots without adapter plates. keeping the optic low for co-witness with the iron sights. Under recoil, the pistol tracks flat and comes back on target quickly. HK validated the design through extensive endurance testing. The CC9 survived extreme temperatures, mud immersion, and tens of thousands of rounds without major issues. The trigger has a longer travel than some competitors, but it breaks cleanly and resets positively. Some early testers noted occasional failures to lock back on empty with certain ammunition, but this appears limited and may be magazine-related. For most shooters, the CC9 simply runs. The street price sits in the mid to high 700s, which is more than mainstream polymer micros but less than most metal-framed or 2011 style pistols. For southpaws and anyone who wants a micro pistol built like a duty gun, the CC9 is an outstanding choice. Fast follow-ups were easy. The Staccato CS brings the storied 2011 architecture to concealed carry. Traditional 2011s are built on double-stack .45 ACP magazines adapted to 9mm, resulting in wide grips. The CS instead uses a purpose-built 9mm magazine holding 16 rounds, allowing a grip width around 1.2 inches, slimmer than many polymer compacts. At 27 ounces unloaded, it carries duty gun capacity with manageable weight. Staccato's engineers developed a dual-spring recoil system with 2 springs of different rates, spreading the impulse across the slide's travel and keeping the muzzle flat. Over thousands of rounds in my testing, the pistol did not malfunction. An external extractor replaces the finicky internal extractor of traditional 1911S for consistent extraction. The 3.5-inch bull barrel locks into the slide without a bushing, aiding accuracy and simplifying maintenance. The single-action trigger is the main attraction. It breaks around 3.5 pounds with minimal take-up and a snappy reset. That control fosters effortless precision and rapid splits. When combined with the pistol's weight, it produces a shooting experience unlike any striker-fired micro. The slide comes optics-ready in Staccato's DPO configuration and uses full-sized sight cuts for co-witness. On the range, the CS tracks like a small race gun. The heavier frame soaks up recoil, and the grip's modular design aids control. Owning this performance is not cheap. The pistol alone costs roughly $2,500, and that does not include a red dot bulb, holster, or magazines for training. It also requires more maintenance than a polymer gun. The all-steel components run best when kept well lubricated and clean. Yet, for shooters tired of chasing perfection by upgrading polymer pistols piece by piece, the Staccato CS offers a turnkey solution. It is a pistol you can stake your life on and enjoy shooting every weekend. The soft recoil invites practice. When Sauer launched the P365, it redefined how many rounds a micro pistol could hold. The P365 fuse pushes that concept further by combining a long barrel and slide with the original pistol's thin profile and modular fire control unit. The fuse uses a 4.3-inch barrel and includes a 21-round magazine, giving it full-size capacity in a footprint only slightly longer than the original. A 17-round flush-fit magazine shortens the grip for concealment, and the gun weighs just over 24 ounces unloaded. The longer barrel is not just for bragging rights. Defensive bullets are designed to expand within specific velocity ranges, and many short-barrel micro pistols fail to meet those speeds. The fuse's extra length helps loads reach their intended velocity, and the extended sight radius makes aiming easier. The LXG grip module features aggressive stippling to lock the pistol in place, and the fire control unit remains the serialized part, so owners can swap slides and grips at will. The flat-face trigger is heavier than earlier P365s, but predictable. There are compromises. The slide's added length and thin profile concentrate heat. After a few fast magazines, you will feel warmth through the frame. Some users report sporadic malfunctions with certain ammunition. In my experience, using high-quality factory rounds and keeping the gun lubricated eliminates issues. The fuse's modularity remains its biggest advantage. You can quickly configure the gun for different seasons or roles, from a long-slide home defense pistol to a short-slide summer carry. At around $700, the fuse offers capacity and performance that outclass most compact pistols at its price point. For the shooter who wants one pistol to do everything, home defense, training, and concealed carry, without venturing into boutique territory. The P365 fuse is compelling. Next to a P320, it's smaller. Springfield Armory's Hellcat series pioneered high-capacity Micro 9S, and the Hellcat Pro Comp shows where production pistols are headed. Rather than using a screw-on compensator, Springfield machines a single port into the last half-inch of the barrel and slide. The rifling stops just before the port, creating a chamber that vents gas upward as the bullet exits. The effect is dramatic. Felt recoil and muzzle rise drop by roughly a quarter compared with the standard Hellcat Pro, because the slide length remains unchanged. The Pro Comp fits existing holsters and avoids the legal complications of threaded barrels. Other features will be familiar to Hellcat owners. The 3.7-inch hammer-forged barrel feeds from 15 or 17-round magazines. The slide is cut for RMSC pattern optics, and the tritium front sight is set behind the port to prevent fouling. Grip texturing anchors the gun under recoil but does not abrade clothing. Low-profile controls remain easy to operate. On the range, the benefits of the integrated port are immediate. Muzzle flip is minimal, and rapid pairs stay on target. Velocity loss is minor, around 30 to 50 feet per second. But you should always test your defensive ammunition to ensure proper expansion. The Hellcat's trigger still divides shooters. It is around 6 pounds with a spongy take-up and break, although the compensator softens recoil. The trigger's feel may discourage some. However, dedicated practice helps mitigate this. Another advantage of the integrated port is maintenance. Unlike screw-on comps that can loosen, there is nothing to come off, and cleaning is straightforward. With an MSRP under $700 and frequent package deals that include multiple magazines or holsters, the Pro Comp delivers performance typically reserved for custom builds at a mainstream price. For shooters upgrading from smaller micro pistols or those who want a soft-shooting concealed carry pistol without the expense of a 2011 or metal frame, the Hellcat Pro Comp is one of the most compelling options. Control and capacity are its calling card. The handguns in this list show that the days of suffering through punishing micro pistols are ending. A deep concealment .380 can now have a clean trigger and usable sights. A polymer micro can meet duty reliability standards. A double-stack 2011 can shrink to concealable proportions without sacrificing capacity. A crossover pistol can deliver full-size ballistics in a slender package. And mainstream manufacturers can integrate compensation without blowing the budget. Which trade-offs matter most to you? Would you take a slightly larger pistol for better control? Or is the smallest footprint still king? Share your thoughts, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Stay safe today.